Casey Hendrickson from the Mid-States Construction Studio. Mid-States Construction, one of the nation's leading authorized builders of new core building systems. On News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Producer Tim screening your phone calls, taking your traffic updates. Phone number to join us, 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595953. I want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range. Again, located in New Carlisle, Indiana. Don't forget they have 10 dedicated shooting lanes, rifle and pistol. And if you mention me, get half off your range time. You also get 10% off your purchases in the store, and you also have listener-only discounts on firearms. So make sure you check them out online, secondamendmentarms.net. All right, so let's just start with this story, shall we, and get people's reaction to this. 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. Let's talk about all of these students walking out of class. Okay? Let's do that. Students across Michiana and around the United States walked out of school today to protest gun violence, which is interesting because I have people telling me that a lot of the students didn't realize they were protesting gun violence. Teens at all four South Bend Community School Corps schools, Mishawaka High School, Penn High School, Northridge Middle and High School, Lakeshore High School in Stevensville, and others around Michiana walked out at 10 a.m. Students then gathered in front of each school, with many wearing orange to represent support for gun control. I don't know. Okay, does anybody else find the orange color to represent gun control a little odd, considering hunters wear orange? Nobody else find that a little strange? Political leaders like Democratic candidate for Congress Yatish Joshi and South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg lent their backing to the students. So Mayor Buttigieg tweeted out, demanding that we put their lives first. Students are preparing to walk out at schools across the country and across the community. I'll be at one of them. These kids deserve our support. Then he goes on to say, gun violence, like climate and taxes, has become an issue of intergenerational justice. What on God's green earth is intergenerational justice? That's a nice job there. Got some more virtue signaling coming from Mayor Buttigieg. All right, so now this is done, basically, it's a month after what happened in Parkland, right? So it is a month after the FBI, the Broward County Sheriff's Office, failed dozens of times to prevent a crazy kid from murdering people. And instead of going out there and demanding that the FBI and police do a better job, not all police, but, in general. Instead of doing that, it's about guns. Now, here's what's interesting. So I have parents of students and students who have contacted me that said they thought they were walking out as a show of solidarity and remembrance for the victims. They did not know it was a gun control protest. So we've got a bunch of students that decided to go out and leave their class, but they were not made aware that it was an anti-gun protest. They thought they were just paying respect to the victims. I mean, look, you got to understand, not everybody pays attention to the news like we do. We knew this was coming. The hashtag Enough protest is designed to demand lawmakers take action to prevent future tragedies like an assault weapons ban and mandatory background checks for all gun sales. All right, dweebuses. Let's just start from this point, shall we? A bunch of kids who tell you that they are not mature enough to own a rifle are telling you that they are mature enough to dictate policy on rifles. In South Park, this is called the Chewbacca defense. It don't make sense. It's that simple. If you're not mature enough to own a rifle, you're not mature enough to tell everybody else they can own a rifle. You're immature. That's your definition. That's not mine. I think that 18-year-olds are mature enough to own a rifle. Why? Because I think 18-year-olds are mature enough to lace on their boots, carry a rifle, shoot it at bad guys, and be shot at by bad guys. But you have decided that 18-year-olds are not mature enough for this activity. And if you're not mature enough to own a rifle, you certainly are not mature enough to tell everybody what to do with rifle policy. There's no way. You can't have it both ways. Sorry, doesn't work that way. Now, here's the reality that nobody wants to talk about. So we had an assault weapons ban, right? Did you know in the 6 years of data that we have for the assault weapons ban, because they didn't keep data for all of that time, the final 6 years of the assault weapons ban, and then the first 6 years after the assault weapons ban sunsetted, do you realize in the 6 years after the assault weapons ban expired, we had less rifle murders than the final 6 years of the assault weapons ban? Do you realize that? So how is it that you had more rifle murders with the assault weapons ban in place than after the assault weapons ban expired? How is that? If the assault weapons ban works, how is that possible? Anyone? Bueller? Anybody? Oh, crap, Casey, you're not supposed to talk about facts and logic and stuff. This is about emotions. Just listen to Mayor Buttigieg. It's the kids. It's intergenerational justice. All right, intergenerational justice also says, Mayor Buttigieg, that lower taxes is better for younger people who earn less money. But you don't stand for that, do you? So I guess you're not for intergenerational justice. Oh, and schools. Schools are a lot safer now than they were in the 1990s. How's that for your intergenerational justice? No, we got a virtue signal and we got to lie about a bunch of stuff in order to pass a narrative around, right? That's what we got to do? Let's be perfectly honest. This is 17 minutes for you to get out of class. That's all it was. That's all it was. When I was in high school, I would have done anything to get out of class. You know why? Because high school sucks. High school's terrible. It is boring as heck. Nobody likes high school except for the crazy kids who will one day be very rich and famous and doing all sorts of things because they're what we call like dedicated and productive individuals. The rest of us hate high school because it sucks. Those are there for the social experiment. And at that point, those people are going to be fat, lazy, and poor when they get older because they don't have any drive. This is nuts. Intergenerational justice. Holy crap. 574-25-95-95-3. Cameron, welcome to the program.
How you doing, Casey?
Doing well.
You actually touched on what I was going to say. I don't understand how walking out of a class says anything. You're supposed to be in school. If you want to make a point, then do it on your own time, and I think it's more effective. But I agree that I think it's just a way to get out of class.
Well, I mean, obviously it was. I mean, for crying out loud, we used to pull the fire alarm. You know why? Because we got out of class.
Right.
We were just as bored out of class as we were in class, but for some reason we felt better about not being in class. I don't know why.
Even if that law doesn't change from 18 to 21, they still aren't, most of them, old enough to buy a firearm.
Well,
but
yeah, like
an even longer time before they can.
Yeah, this is a fair point because not everybody who walked out was 18. So, several of them are not old enough to buy a firearm anyway. But I mean, this is the thing. And I have students and I have parents of students who have contacted me today and said my kid thought it was just a memorial to honor the victims on the 1 month anniversary. They didn't realize it was an anti-gun protest. So a lot of these kids who were walking out of class thought that they were just paying respect to people who had been murdered. They didn't realize that it was going to be an all anti-gun and all that stuff. I don't know what percentage of them that would be, but there's at least some of them that were out there thinking that we're just paying respect to victims here, and it turns out that we just turned this thing into an anti-gun thing. So,
I think if we went back to teachers being allowed to discipline and not be scared of repercussions from disciplining, I think the schools would end up being safer in the long run as well.
Sure. There you go. All right, man. Appreciate the call. Thank you much. 574-25-95-95-3. Intergenerational justice. We've got more of your reaction and your phone calls on this coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
J.C. Hendrickson. News Talk 95.3. Michiana's News Channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel. Just got contacted by another parent who said that they spoke with several of the students. Well, not the parent, the kid. Their kid spoke with several of the students who did walk out and asked them why they did. That just got me out of class for a little bit. That's all. But hey, it sure looks... Why do you think they do this during school, folks? More kids are going to actually show up if they're already at school and you get them out of class than if you were to do this after school. You do this after school, you say, hey, let's go ahead and get together, wear the same color that hunters wear, and we're going to go protest guns. You show up after school, though. You got to wait till class is over. You'll have a couple of people show up. But if you do it in the middle of class and get kids out of class, oh, man. A bunch of them are going to show up, and then all of a sudden it looks more impactful. It looks more powerful. It looks more organized. It looks more grassroots. When really, in fact, just a bunch of kids who want to get out of class. Many of whom thought it was just to pay respect to the Parkland victims. Had nothing to do with gun control. But Mayor Buttigieg, intergenerational justice. I mean, all I could do was type "wahahaha" on the bottom of that with a hashtag virtue signal derp. I mean, that's all I can do. It's just okay. 574-25-95-95-3. That's 2595953. Don't forget, let us know if you have any traffic out there. And traffic is driven by R&B Car Company, your used car experts. Locations in South Bend and Warsaw, R&B Car Company again. Let's see. We have Paul. Welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Doing well, man. What's up?
I've got a problem with juvenile delinquents, kids that rob homes, fights, have guns. Their records are expunged once they're 18. Is that not correct?
Yeah, as long as it's not a serious crime, you're absolutely right.
But I mean, if they've got guns or robbery or something like that and are not tried as an adult, their records are expunged. They're little angels. They could, go get guns. Those records ought to go to a central post or whatever and be there for the gun checks for your permit.
Oh, but see, here's the thing, Paul. And for the record, they're not expunged, but they are sealed.
Well, that's what I'm
considered
getting at. They
different.
are sealed. You can't get to them.
Well, yeah. Employers can't see them. Judges can, but they're not a part. They're not a part of the NICS system. And you know why they do that, though, Paul?
No.
They do that because when you're under the age of 18, you're immature.
Right.
So a bunch of immature people are telling you what we should be doing with policy. Okay.
They're starting. I mean, they just chain reaction. One thing to another. Are they going to stop?
Sure, but you can't say chain reaction though. That's racist now.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, you can't say that.
That's why I said it.
The word chain will be banned in a couple of years. So.
Right.
All right, Paul, but point well taken, man. Appreciate the call. Thank you much. 574-25-95-95-3. It's an interesting question, right? If you're considered immature, and that's why we seal your criminal records when you're a minor, why should anybody listen to you about policy? Wendy, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hey, so my daughter warned me about this day last week and asked if she could please stay home and then go into school after the protest because it was going to be anti-gun and she didn't feel like participating, but she also didn't want to be the only kid going to class.
Yeah, then she's got to deal with everybody who comes back and right. You want to shoot your own kind in the face, right?
Right. So I kept her home this morning, and we took her in at 11:30 after it was over. But I wanted to mention last night, South Bend School sent home a piece of paper saying that this was, I understand why people are confused and thought it was a remembrance program because that's what the South Bend School, that's how they portrayed it. That's what they wrote in the letter.
Oh, so South Bend School Corporation told you it was to honor the victims. It wasn't anti-gun.
Yes, they did. It was a student-led, not a school-run, but a totally student-run organized sort of protest. It was going to be a remembrance. They were going to be forced, or not forced, but they could share things. They could offer, what. It was not an anti-gun.
But Wendy, we did remember. We remembered that all of these kids got shot with big bad black rifles, and that's what it was about, right?
No, well, that's what South Bend School would like you to believe, and that's why everybody's confused, because they went out there and they intentionally misled everybody about what it was.
Well, yeah, but you have to do that, Wendy. That's how you get more kids to leave class.
Well, I know. To make it seem more
powerful, so Mayor Buttigieg can make his presidential run by virtue signaling with intergenerational justice.
Yeah, I know. I hadn't heard anybody mention the letter yet, and I wanted to make that clear that they went out there and their intent was to mislead people.
I don't suppose you have a copy of that letter still.
I do. It's on my kitchen table. Would you like me to send it to you?
Would you? Because we're linked up on Facebook, right?
Well, not on Facebook anymore. I just
okay. If you can email it to me, that would be great. Casey at 953mnc.com. If you could do that, I would love to read it.
Okay.
That would be
I'll
great.
do that tonight.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
All right.
No
you take
problem.
care.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. So she's saying the South Bend School Corporation sent a letter home and said, hey, kids are going to be walking out, but it's to remember the victims of Parkland. But Casey, that's what we were doing. And you can't remember the victims of Parkland without saying that we need to ban stuff. Like I said, the last 6 years of the assault weapons ban, there were more rifle murders than the first 6 years after the ban expired. Explain that. Explain it. If we need to prevent school shootings like this by instituting an assault weapons ban, why is it that the last 6 years, which is the only years we have data, by the way, why is it that the last 6 years of the assault weapons ban, there were more rifle murders than the first 6 years after the assault weapons ban expired when there were more rifles on the street? Explain that. They can't. Insert platitudinous, nebulous, nonsensical argument here built with emotion and not logic. Or something stupid, like Mayor Buttigieg going, I didn't carry an AR-15 over in Afghanistan for somebody to carry it here and shoot our kids, which he didn't carry an AR-15 in Afghanistan. He didn't do it. But he's telling people that because that's what he says every time there's a shooting. Abby, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hey, just a thought I had. I know this is somewhat putting you on the spot, but would it be impossible for you to reach out to the mayor and ask him to elaborate, maybe unpack that a little bit for us?
Oh yeah, we talk all the time on Twitter.
Okay.
And what he does is he retreats. He retreats into those platitudes, and then I've asked him onto the show several times. He won't come on to my show. He talks to Mark all the time.
Okay.
It's and part of that is, look, here's the thing. He's got a very carefully managed reputation and image.
Oh, I can see that.
And look, I've interviewed him several times in the past and just got to a point where he stopped coming on. And look, there's no doubt that it would be contentious between the two of us and combative, which is why he doesn't engage me all that much on social media. And I can appreciate that because if he goes down the rabbit hole, he knows he doesn't have the facts on his side. He has emotion on his side, but he doesn't have the facts on his side. And it looks very bad when he runs for higher office, which he's going to do. And the least amount of controversy you have in your background, the higher likelihood it is for you to win that nomination and run that race.
Well, I appreciate you taking my call, and I don't know what else to think about all of it except what a tool. Well, thank you.
All right, appreciate it. I guess, am I the tool or is Mayor Buttigieg the tool? I don't know. I've asked him to come on the show several times. I don't know why he won't come on. I don't know why Senator Donnelly doesn't come on anymore. I don't know why Jackie Walorski doesn't come on anymore. I don't know why a bunch of politicians don't come on anymore. It's tough when you go on a program that challenges you. It hurts your reputation. It's got to be managed. We've got more of your phone calls on this coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Studio, Mid-States Construction, one of the nation's leading authorized builders of new core building systems. On News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station. Casey Hendrickson.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Producer Tim, screening your phone calls, taking your traffic updates. I want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range. And if you're super concerned about your skill with a firearm, go to Second Amendment Arms and Range. and they have a ton of fantastic classes and leagues and things like that, on-site and off-site training events to help you get proficient with your firearm. And again, you can mention me, get half off your range time. Just go to secondamendmentarms.net to learn more. We're talking about the walkout today. And somebody sent me a text here. Hold on a second. And it said, Casey, I got an email from my daughter's principal today, said that out of 1,000 students, 200 walked out. The other 800 have parents that parent. So it's very interesting. My kid goes to a Catholic school. We received a letter that if it was a remembrance of each victim, 1 minute per victim, it was not that at all. So somebody else saying, now this is a Catholic school, somebody else saying that the school sent home a thing and said this was to remember the victims, and then it turns out to be, of course, an anti-gun protest. So the South Bend School Corporation, according to parents who have contacted me, sent a thing home, said this is about remembering the victims of Parkland, which who could possibly be opposed to that, right, Producer Tim? On the 1 month anniversary, outside for 17 minutes, and we got students who have contacted me and said, I thought it was to remember the victims. I didn't think it had anything to do with gun control. Other students who talked to other students saying, why did you walk out? It just got me out of class for a couple minutes. Here's the thing, 17 minutes, some of you are like, it's only 17 minutes out of class. You're not really affecting the day. Yeah, you are, because the teacher can't really teach the class. You've got the whole process of leaving the class, the 17 minutes outside, which never is just going to be on time, right? It's always going to take longer than that. Then everybody's got to funnel back into the classroom. By that time, the class is over. You've basically skipped an entire class. That's all this was. And again, can I just point out the irony here? And for the record, I don't think that 18-year-olds are immature and shouldn't be able to own firearms. I think it's ridiculous that people are making that argument. But the irony is that it's being made by people who are 18 and under. And if an 18-year-old says that they're not mature enough to own a rifle, then they are not mature enough to dictate policy on rifles. It's that simple. This isn't that difficult. 574-25-95-95-3. Mark, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Boy, did you hit that on the button. I tell you what, this was being manipulating our children to stand up and do a protest that the adults can't get through for the agenda to disarm America. And like I keep telling people, when guns are outlawed, only the outlaws will have the guns, because look at all the countries that have banned guns. And on top of that, guns aren't the problem. People are the problem, because when there are no weapons, then they'll start using bombs in cars and stuff like that, like the idiot in Texas that's, doing what he's doing. And, knives. I mean, from the military, I'm proficient with a weapon, with knife, anything. And I want to throw this in. I'm sorry I'm taking your time, but I'll tell you what. Pete Buttigieg was an intelligence officer. He was never in harm's way, and he wouldn't know combat if it hit him in his head. Okay?
Well, Mark, I mean, he talks about going outside the wire.
About things.
I went outside the wire. I was like, okay, I don't remember the last time I saw a pencil-pushing intelligence officer go outside the wire to do a patrol.
Yeah, he was outside the wire to go out and have a beer at the officers' club.
Well, and it also wasn't. He didn't carry an AR-15. So every time he says, it's functionally the same. No, it's not functionally the same. There's no 3-round burst on an AR-15.
I spent enough time. I spent over 8 years in the military, and I've seen my share of stuff, and I know about the intelligence officers. We delivered the information to them. They sit in a little area, and they negotiate the photos and stuff and tell you where your enemy is, and they communicate with the higher-ups to do their work and give them advice. He did not see real combat. No. God bless him that he signed up on.
Nobody's denigrating his service, but you can't oversell your service either.
Yeah, he's using for a political stand platform, and he's using children. All these people that are using children, and for this walkout, like what you said, the kids thought it was to remember, and what it is, it's the political agenda to try and use the children to touch the hearts of everybody like these idiots that are cutting their weapons up, saying, you know what, I'm not worried about the people that own them legally, because, you need to worry about the people that are carrying illegal, the people that acquire. I can go out in the street and buy a firearm for $75 to $150, and if I want a real nice weapon, I'll drop $800 and get somebody's real nice weapon, Sure. I'm not saying I do that. I'm just saying it's that easy.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, man. Hey, I appreciate the call. Thank you much.
Bye.
You too. And like I said, nobody's denigrating the mayor's service. I honored his service. I said I went to bring him a knife before he left. And he I forget what it was. He said something before he left. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this guy a knife. I'm not going to give him a knife. I was going to get him a knife. I had bought it. And it was going to be a deployment gift that I was going to do for the mayor right before he deployed, because he came into 95.3 MNC and he did the morning show, and I wanted to come in and surprise him, right? And so I bought a knife that was named after, and I forget the guy's name now, named after the first person in the War on Terror to get a knife kill of a terrorist. That's a pretty awesome gift, right, Producer Tim? It is a knife. It was made by Condor Knives, okay? This is a knife that was made after, and by the way, I think it was an El Salvadorian soldier who did it, by the way. But it was named after the first guy to get a knife kill of a terrorist in the War on Terror. And here's our mayor. He's going off to Afghanistan. I'm like, what a great gift. And then he did something. I'm like, forget it. I'm not wasting my time and money on the guy. So I didn't give it to him. I sold it. I didn't give it to him. I just, but folks, this is a major problem here. Nobody wants to talk about actually protecting kids. They just want to make this about politics of getting guns off of the streets, which it's not going to do. On one hand, you have people say, we're going to get guns out of the hands of people. And on the other hand, they're going, nobody's coming to take your guns. Well, which one is it? You can't be schizophrenic about this issue. You got to pick one. Now, there are some states that are trying to ban actual guns. Illinois is trying to do a gun confiscation. Other states are trying to do a gun confiscation. But the national bill can't do that. Why? Because of ex post facto. Oh, man. Do politicians hate ex post facto? Chris, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Howdy, Casey.
What's up?
I just wanted to clear something up with your first caller. I'm 62 years old, and when I was a teenager, I got in a whole lot of trouble. Running with a rough crowd. The charges on a couple of the items that I got in trouble with were felonies, and that's hounded me to this day.
Sure.
Everything was plea bargained down to a misdemeanor. So when I go into the sheriff's department or the police department to get a carry conceal permit, that stuff comes up on the felony still comes up on the computer. That's what it shows. So I explained to him, it was all plea bargained down to misdemeanors. I have no felonies against me. And that information is taken and sent to the state police. State police look at it, and they investigate it, and it comes out to be true, and got my permits. And the same thing happened a couple of years ago when I got my lifetime. The red flags come up because it says felony.
Sure.
And that's been there ever since I was, it all happened when I was juvenile. None of this happened as an adult.
All right, so it's in the system.
Yeah. It's in the system.
Yeah, and I know that judges and things like that have access to this. But, and here's the thing. Look, you're a teenager and you do stupid things. Like, I did stupid things when I was a teenager, too. And I don't have an issue with those records being sealed. Obviously, we're talking about heinous crime. That's a different story. That's why you get charged as an adult and that sort of thing. But, but again, the point is that the reason that we do that is because you're a kid. You're a kid. You do stupid things because you're a kid. And if you're going to do stupid things because you're a kid, and we're supposed to forgive you because you're a kid and you do stupid things, then you have to acknowledge that, well, you're probably not the most mature individual in the world, so maybe you shouldn't be dictating policy to us.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, if those felonies had held, I could not have got my permit.
Right. Even as a juvenile felony.
Correct.
Okay.
I could have gone before the judge, and I think it was $800 to get everything expunged.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be taken care of. I stayed a year plus at Star Commonwealth for Boys in Marshall, Michigan. And when I got out of there as an adult, I was told in the school that was going to be expunged, and it never happened.
Well, and I talk about this a lot because there are people who just say, if you go in, you try to buy a firearm, and a felony comes up, you should automatically be arrested. And I've always opposed that because of what you're just saying. And I have done too many stories on this show now, there's some research that says like up to 92% of the rejections are false positives and that sort of thing. I don't know if that's the right data, but I do know it happens on a regular basis because there are deals that happen where it's a felony until you finish your sentencing, and then it's supposed to drop down. And frequently, conveniently, Chris, the state forgets to do that.
Yeah.
And then it sticks with you, and you get nailed, and all of a sudden you're behind bars because you tried to buy a gun as a felon when you thought you didn't have a felony on your record. And I've seen people get fired as a result of this as well. And it's, people have to realize it's one of the reasons that I believe that felonies shouldn't be at the state level. I've grown to a point where I believe that should leave states' rights. I don't believe that states should have a right to convict you as a felon anymore. I think that needs to be a federal thing, and there needs to be a federal standard for that. Because there are things that, if you are, like in Nevada, if you steal a pack of gum, you have committed felony burglary, okay? But if you go to Utah, it may not be.
Yeah.
But you're still a felon in Utah if you've been convicted in Nevada of stealing a pack of gum. That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, it's crazy.
Yeah, and again, with this whole tough on crime politician thing, it's just become ridiculous. Murder, rape, certain crimes like that, just have a federal standard for felonies and get rid of the state stuff. if you ask me.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. I appreciate
keep up the good work, man.
Thank you for the information. I appreciate that.
You betcha. God bless.
All right, you too. You got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson, News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Got another parent just contacted me on Facebook. Yeah, principal at my kid's school made it very clear that this is about paying respect to the fallen in Parkside. Not an anti-gun thing. That the school wasn't taking any position on this. Then another parent sent me a text of a message they got from Elkhart Community Schools. I won't tell you which school. Let's see. Students have informed administrators that they wish to participate in a walkout. First and foremost, we respect our students' rights to free speech. We are working with students, staff, and local authorities to ensure students are safe and able to have their voices heard. We will be respecting the rights of all students, whether they choose to participate or not. We have established two secure areas. 2 is misspelled. Comes from the Elkhart School District. That's nice. 2 is misspelled. For participating students together, and are working with our staff and safety teams to ensure supervision and safety during the walkout. Thank you. All right, cool. So can you exercise your free speech to walk out of a class for any other issue? Or is it just this one? Because if we're talking about respecting a student's right to free speech, can we just walk out of class anytime we have an issue that we want to draw attention to? Or is this a special occasion? Elkhart Community Schools, who can't spell the word to in your message to parents? That should inspire confidence. Oh, it's a simple typo case. It's a school. Jeff, welcome to the program.
Hey, Casey. Thanks for taking my call. Just tuning in. I heard that the tail end of the last caller, but I just wanted to, I know you're talking about that felony, and you got to be careful when you fill out them gun concealed carry permits, because it says, have you ever been charged? It don't say, have you ever been convicted? And then after that, it says, if yes, explain.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got to fill them out right.
But here's the thing, though, Jeff. If you have the government telling you, look, it's been wiped, it's like it never existed, don't worry about it, don't ever answer yes on these things, then, I mean, there's confusion with people.
Right, yeah. I'm all for him, I'm behind him 100%. Yeah. I'm just, you got to be careful how they got it weirded. Worded weird.
And that's one of the reasons I don't think you should automatically be tossed in jail because of it.
Right. But I agree 100%.
You got to be careful. You're right. You absolutely do. All right, man. Appreciate the call. Thank you much. 574-2595-95-3. So we have the, where did it go? I just had it. National School Walkout reveals what students really want. Safe spaces. So that was an article that was written by Robbie Suave at Reason.com. But I mean, look, the thing is that, nobody doesn't want kids to be safe. But the debate is taking place from a radicalized, nonsensical, not fact-based emotional argument that if you are pro-gun, you do not want kids to be safe. The NRA doesn't want kids to be safe. Casey Hendrickson doesn't want kids to be safe. There's nobody that I am aware of who does not want kids to be safe. So how about we just cut the crap, knock off this hyperbole nonsense, stop elevating kids who say they're too immature to own a gun, stop elevating their opinion about guns to be more important than people who know a whole lot more about guns and policy than they do. And let's actually focus on the real issue, which is, why is it that over 90% of these shootings happen where guns aren't allowed? How about that? Why is it that people can just walk onto school campuses and blast away at students without any repercussions or barriers? Focus on that stuff instead of hyperbole and name-calling. Got more coming up.
WTRZ-FM and HD1, Niles, South Bend, Elkhart. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.